afternoon and welcome to Dialogue with Deidre. I'm your host, Deidre Malone. I am so glad to have on the show today someone who I've read the novel, and I'm actually on the last chapter. So we're going to talk about Blaque Pearle. And on my show today is Tarris Marie, who's the author. And this is her first novel, but she's working on another one. Tarris,
Amen.
welcome to Dialogue with Deidre.
Thank you so much for having me, Deidre. I truly appreciate it.
Look, I want to talk to you first, right off the bat, about what made you decide to write your first novel.
Ooh, okay. Well, the journey of my writing actually started Juneteenth, 2020, when we were on lockdown, and I had been experiencing depression. I was actually on the floor days before that, and when I was down there, um, it was dirty, it was dark, and I was in a really dark place. I had really suffered a lot of loss in my life at that time. And so I just remember asking God, like, what do you want me to do? Like, what am I don't want to be on this floor. So tell me what I need to do to get up off this floor, and I will help as many people as I can to not get on this floor, because it is not a place to be. And God told me to write a book. And I didn't know anything about writing at that time. I just, got up and washed myself off in the shower, and I said, let's go. So I sat down in front of my computer, and I had two words on my computer screen. At that time, it said Queen of Daku. And I didn't realize it was Juneteenth at the time, but really want to hit me the spiritual, the spirit behind that day. And just I was overwhelmed. Actually, I started crying when I realized that it was actually Juneteenth. When I actually sat down to write, I knew that I was fulfilling the assignment that God had given me. So that's when I started writing.
And let me just say, when you think about Juneteenth, that's African American Freedom Day for real. And
Absolutely.
so getting up off that floor, there must have been a sense God gave you a freedom to do this.
Absolutely. And
Mm.
that is what I'm telling you. I celebrate that day for that day, of course, in remembrance of our ancestors, but also I celebrate it as a day that I freed myself from myself, or that God helped free me from myself, because I realized when I did get up that I was holding myself down, and so realizing the spirit behind that, and like you just mentioned, I knew that that was my calling, and that I wasn't going to stop anything from me writing. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, Deidre, but I just knew that with that day, with hearing him clearly say, write a book, that was what I was supposed to be doing.
It's hard when you don't listen, because he'll guide you and God will tell you what to do. And sometimes we don't listen, but I'm thankful that you did listen, because your book is incredible. But I want to dial back and talk about Tarris Marie as a child. So growing up in Indiana, right?
Yes, ma'am. From Gary, Indiana, born and raised.
You had no idea that God would put in you a book, did you?
Right. Well, let me tell you. So, in my whole journey of writing, I started going back, looking at some of my old things. Okay. You are not going to believe this. I found so I had been journaling since the fourth grade,
Mm.
but I actually found a book called From the Heart, Body, and Soul by Tarris Marie Rochelle Smith. And I was in middle school. So I started writing a book. Can you believe it? Called From the Heart, Mind, Body, and Soul. Now, I don't know what I was had going on. in my heart, mind, body, and soul in middle school. But
Oh,
baby, I was starting to write a book and I opened it up and I saw like the first few pages and I was just mesmerized. So I believe that there was something maybe there that kind of what you were saying, that I wasn't ready maybe to receive it yet,
yes,
spiritually.
yes.
But through my grandfather, talking about me as a little girl, he was very heavy into the arts. He had bought me a book called Brown Sugar, and because he knew how much I loved, he was he was born in 1928, so I used to watch old movies like Cabin in the Sky, Stormy Weather, things like that. And so the Nicholas brothers, watching them dance, and Shirley Temple movies. And so I grew up kind of in that scene, and I always had this this calling inside of me into the arts. And so when I was a little girl, he bought me a book called Brown Sugar by Donald Bogle, I believe is his name. And inside that book were pictures of women of color, starting from the early 1900s all the way to the present time, that were writers, that were actresses, that were really heavy into the arts. And so what he was doing for me at that time, and I didn't realize it, was he was instilling that in me, telling me, hey, there has been a path that has been set forth before you. And he was showing me that you could do it. Right. But as I said, it wasn't the right time at that time, or my spirit hadn't fully received it yet.
So the arts pretty much then has been a part of your life. I
Correct.
mean, from your grandfather introducing you to the arts and you embracing the arts. So it was kind of always there. It just didn't hit fully. Like you talked about, you had started your book in middle school, started a book, you didn't realize you had started in middle school until God took you to a place where he then said, now is the time, right?
Absolutely.
Now is
Absolutely.
the time. So I
Absolutely.
want you to talk to me about your creative process. What is that like?
Ooh, you asking me some good questions. Um, so I I used now when I first started writing, I was a night owl. I was writing at night. But I usually I always start, how about that, with prayer.
Yes.
Okay. I thank God. I always make sure that I start with the prayer for obedience, for guidance, and I start there as my foundation. I usually do a little meditation, a little quiet time right before I start. And then I'll light a candle, some sage, kind of get the mood going. And then I listen to music. It depends on what I'm writing, but if you notice in Blaque Pearle, there's a lot of music throughout, because
Oh,
it helped
yes.
shape me. Also in my upbringing, growing up in the 90s, I love 90s music. And so I usually always listen to music. And to be honest with you, Deidre, I listen to music because I have two children that are the ages of 9 and 12. And so when I'm in here writing, and you read Blaque Pearle, some of the content, okay, I got to tune out the mind. So I'll listen I'll blast some music. So that's part of my process too, is to, listen to music, kind of get me, in the mood for writing. And then I just close my eyes, and I just let, my fingers go to work on the keyboard.
Well, you can tell that you grew up in the 90s because as you read the book, I was like that first scene where they're in a jazz club. I was like, okay, and somebody's listening to jazz, and one of the characters really gets into it, but then you can transition into some hip hop too. So it's a great it's a great story. So we're gonna talk about Blaque Pearle, but we're not gonna give away the story because I want people to buy the book. Um,
Okay.
but how did you come up with the characters in Blaque Pearle? Like,
Mm.
oh my goodness, Black is the way you describe him, he's like one of the most handsomest men you ever would want to meet. And Pearl is just a cutie pie. So, how
Yes.
did you come up with these characters?
So, because I'm gonna be okay. People say, "Are you Pearl?" I'm not Pearl. Okay. No, no, no. And I do not know Black, so this is fiction. But I will say that the soul of these characters, right? They reflect a plethora of people.
Hmm.
I wanted to start with Black. I wanted to have a character who was flawed, but also who loved the women in his life, right? Who loved God. I wanted to show a man who maybe from, an environment that stereotypically, you know, he would have, from what I've seen, I will say, in some of the other outlets, through books that I've read and through movies. Um, I wanted to show the type of man that I knew. Not that Black is anybody that I know personally, but like I'm saying, the soul of Black, he's a good guy, and he's respectful, and he's flawed. We know that he does
Yes.
things he's not supposed to do. He's a criminal. But like I said, I want to be very intentional with writing characters that were similar to people that I knew in my life. Um, that, as I said, respect. That was big for me, for Black's character, because I'm gonna be honest with you. The men in my life, my grandfather, my uncles, um, all respect my husband.
Yeah.
Respectful men, loving men, love their mothers. And so I wanted to show that in my book, and I was intentional. And same about Pearl. Pearl's from Compton. She's from the hood, but so am I, right? That doesn't stop us from being able to speak intelligently, to speak two languages, to have appreciation for jazz, as well as be able to listen to hip hop and spit the lyrics of Dr. Dre's Chronic or whatever have you. And I think that is key, that I wanted to not put my character into a box, because the people that I know, and I know a lot of people, we all come from different experiences, and we're all very unique, and we all possess the power to do fantastic things, and we're out here doing great things, right? Even though we may have come from an environment that may, have led us otherwise, we've been able to persevere through that. And so I wanted to make sure that I had characters that depicted that, and that were not stereotypical, or fit into one type of category.
I love the way, Tarris Marie, that you describe Black and Pearl because, they are flawed characters, but they have a deep love and appreciation for family
Absolutely.
and for hard work. You know,
Absolutely.
it may be, Pearl is an entrepreneur. And
Absolutely.
so, and Black's an entrepreneur in his own right. He's in family business. We're not gonna talk too much about it because I want people to buy the book. But he's an entrepreneur and he's done well with his business. But for them to find each other the way that they found each other, oh, I can't wait for people to read the book to see and have a good understanding of the twist. So
Absolutely.
it's one that people, and a lot of people will relate to it because of the
Absolutely.
characters. Because no matter if you're from Beverly Hills or from Compton, we all know people like Black and Pearl, right? Everybody's
Absolutely.
just trying to live their life. So, so yeah, I'm so glad because I had one of the questions I had for you was, was I love how you used flawed individuals to show their human and caring side because clearly Black loves his mama.
Absolutely.
So it's just it's an amazing story. I just want to have a better understanding of how you think. I mean, because this process is such that, as reading the book, I'm like, now, how did she come up with that? Was research a big part of it, Tarris Marie, or was it just straight from the heart? Let me just flow.
Okay. In this particular story, because of the time period, I grew up in it, I lived it, I embraced it. I did not do any research. And the places that I used were all places I had been before. And so for this particular story, I have another one that's set in the 1930s. I had to do a ton of research for, but for this one, I did not. The best way I can explain it, because they are criminals, right?
Yeah.
And as I started writing and flowing, a lot of times, because writing is a lonely art, it is time consuming, and I spend a lot of time in my office. And so as I love when the characters take off and then they start to do things, and then I'm like, oh, literally, Pearl, where you do that? And I'm talking to Pearl, and I'm like, oh, Blaque, oh, when I'm if he say something that's real, romantic, I'm like, oh,
And,
and
and he's
so it's like,
romantic. Let me just say that he's pretty romantic. Okay.
so
Yeah.
so when it hits me, it comes from a place from my soul. It in those particular for all of those characters in that particular story, it was just it's hard to explain other than, like, I just started writing, and then I just let the characters take flight, and wherever they take me, and in some instances they take us to some dark places as well. And I don't stop it. I made a commitment that in this process, that in artistic world in general, whether it's through this writing or if it's through acting or whatever, wherever God leads me, that I'm going to put my heart and my soul into everything I do. So I will say that a part of me, of course, because I wrote it, I'm not writing it for anyone in particular. I'm writing from my soul as a gift to the world. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so as I'm just putting my all and my heart and my soul into my fingertips, I'm just allowing, things to flow. And so in every story, even the stories that I've had to research, before I do the research, I just write the story. I just let it come. I just let it flow. I let it come out. And then I go back and then say, okay, did they have thumbtacks in 1930? I don't know, or whatever have you. I just go and then backtrack to make sure that I'm on point with the time frame. But yeah, for me, it's just all about flowing and about telling the story and about letting the readers know that, one, it's never too late to pursue your dreams,
Yes.
right? And also, my goal is to inspire. So whether it's someone who's my age, younger, older, I want to make sure I put my heart and soul out there, and that I'm intentional, because I want someone to be able to look at it. And even if they don't read it, if they watch, our show, and to say, oh, she did that. She was on the ground and she got up, and she's smiling and she's happy and she's, doing that. So I can do that too. So that is my goal in life, is really right now I'm in a season of inspiration and just putting my heart and my soul out there, and just, hoping to make, someone smile.
Well, Terrace, I think you're going to do that with Blaque Pearle, and I know you've done it with Blaque Pearle. But I also want people to know that your book makes people think about if I'm in this situation with my family and somebody I love. Sometimes you have to make decisions, and sometimes it's difficult.
Absolutely.
So it's a book that, although it's fiction, for some people it's real life, and some people have some of the challenges that the characters have. So it's well thought out, it's well written. And I just want people to know it's an amazing book and they need to go get it. But I also want to ask you, how do you think your disability, and we have not talked about that at all, kind of helped shape telling this story?
Absolutely. So I have a disease called Stargardt eye disease, and I'm legally blind. I was born with it, but I had a late onset, so I did actually lose my central vision. My peripheral is intact, but the things that I look at is gone. And so that hit me when I was close to 40 years old. And so what and that's just so you know, one of the things I felt, because I did a shift in career and things like that, that's a whole nother story, but that's what led me to the floor. But what I can say, once I was able to embrace this disability that I have, it enabled me to be able to really hone in on my other senses, right? Because a lot of things I took for granted, like when I go for a walk now, I used to go for a walk and listen to my music. And I love music, period. But now when I walk, I want to hear the birds, I want to be present in the moment. And I want to hear the rain. And what does the rain sound like when it hits against the window? These are all things that I never really paid attention to through my, hearing or scent, or the way I smell things, or even, some of the things with my vision, some of the headaches that I get, I describe in my story. And so it really allowed me to be in tune with my body and my senses, which
Yes.
then I know helped me with being able to create stories that you can touch, feel, and smell, right? And see, because
Yeah.
I can still see, I still have my peripheral intact, but that is definitely something that I've learned to embrace. I can thank my daughter for that, but I learned to embrace my disability. And it's definitely helped me with my writing.
You feel like it makes you more of a descriptive writer? Because I mean, your writing is you take people there to experience the story with your writing.
Correct. Because one of the other things that I started doing, and I kind of talked about it when you talked about my process, is meditation. So even through my, learning how to meditate, I have become more present in the moments. And so becoming present then allows me to be able to dig into the details more, to be able to live in the moment. And like I said, it allows me to be able to, and I'm looking this way, I don't know why, but just because, oh, my window was this way. So, gravitating towards the light, or, it allows me to be able to just breathe and live in a different way that I truly believe flows directly into my art. So everything that God put me through and pulled me through, okay,
Yeah.
has led me to this moment. And I thank him every day for it, even for my disability, because what it has allowed me to also do is to hopefully speak to another audience,
Yes.
to allow people to see that, how you can turn a disability into a ability.
Absolutely.
Not be disabled, but enabled,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Um, And so, and I can say that because I live it.
Yes.
And so because of that, again, as I told you, I'm in a season of inspiration, and I don't think that season is ever going to leave me, because that's just part of my my goal in life. But I definitely feel, I just work around it. I have devices that help me be able to see things right. Right now when I look at my screen, I don't know if you could, but it's about this big, my font. I put it, I zoom in on my font about 400 to 800%, depending upon what I need to read, and so I'm out here living,
Yeah,
breathing, being
yeah.
present.
Well,
And that's something I can say that a lot of things I did take for granted before that.
Well, we only have about 3 minutes left, and I want to hit on three things. So I know you're working on something new. I'm really excited about it. I just saw the cover and it looks
Yes.
fabulous. So we're going to have you come back on Dialogue with Deidre to talk about the new book. But let me just say, I think it's going to be amazing. But I want you to share with our viewers, you have some book signings coming up. I know
Yes.
you have a couple coming up. You want to share with our viewers a little bit about when they are?
Yes, ma'am. So I will be in Katy doing a book signing March the 2nd at 5 p.m. and that's in Katy, Texas. I will be in New Orleans at the end of March, March 28th at Baldwin Co. and Coffee. And I'm very excited about that. And also at the Barnes and Noble at 2 p.m. on March the 30th in Harvey, Louisiana. So from the 28th through the 30th, I will be in Louisiana doing book signings at that time as well. So,
and then I want people to go, Tarris Marie, and go ahead and buy the book now. And so Carter Malone's going to work with Tarris because I want to do like a virtual like book club where you're the
yes,
guest and you're talking about the book, but the people need to have the book before we do the virtual, talk.
would
So
love
tell
to.
people where they can buy the book.
Yes, you can actually buy the book on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, in a lot of your independent bookstores. Anywhere where books are sold, you should be able to find it online. And for my ones who like to listen, you can get audiobooks as well on Audible, audiobooks.com, and you can stream it on Apple as well. So anywhere where books are sold, you can get Blaque Pearle by Tarris Marie.
I love it. So last question before we get out of here.
Yeah.
What would you like for people once they buy the book and they read it? What do you want that biggest takeaway to be, Tarris Marie, from the book?
All right. So my biggest thing that I would want is I say find your inner Blaque Pearle. And the Blaque Pearle is symbolic. It's a treasure, of course, but it's also helps to heal broken hearts. And that's the legend behind the Blaque Pearle. And so I hope after you read the book that it will help, you smile, and it will help if you have any brokenness, or even if you don't have any brokenness and you're just looking for a good time and entertainment. I'm just hoping that after you read the story, you will gain your inner Blaque Pearle after reading it.
Tarris Marie, the author of Blaque Pearle, thank you so much for being on Dialogue with Deidre today. And you're welcome to come back anytime. We're excited about the next book. So as soon as it's out there, you're coming back because we got to talk about it.
Yes, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me and sharing your platform with me. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All right, you take care. And everybody, thanks so much for watching Dialogue with Deidre. We will see you back here next Friday at noon at the same time. Follow us on all of our Carter Malone Network platforms. And let us know what you think about the show. We look forward to seeing you the next time. Thanks so much for joining us.
Novel Blaque Pearle brings together crime, romance, and the 90s era. It's described as a new voice for urban romance lovers and women's crime thriller connoisseurs.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait to get into this. Okay, and it was written by Houston native Tarris Marie. Tarris is joining us this morning to share more live in our studio. Good morning, Tarris. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, so excited to chat.
Thank you.
Okay, first tell us a little bit about yourself. So how long have you been writing for?
Okay, so first I'm from Gary, Indiana, but I am a Houston transplant from Gary. So I've been here for about 11 years. And what led me into writing, I actually come from the corporate world first. So I did that for about 15 years, but I hit a season of loss, including my central vision. So I'm actually legally blind. I have an eye disease called Stargardt. And during that time, when I lost my central vision, I lost my job. I had a season of loss is the best way I can explain it. And I hit a low point in my life, and God told me to get up and write a book. And so that was in 2020. I started writing Juneteenth on Juneteenth 2020, and now I'm here with you guys.
No kidding. So in just 3 years, you've gotten this book published. What's the process been like to get here?
Yes. So when I first started writing, the characters started speaking to me. And I didn't really understand structure and things like that. So I hired a book coach or a writing coach. And then from there, about 4 months after that, I ended up getting a literary agent. And then that same year, I got a publishing deal with Blaque Media. And so I'm here now.
It was like a world, like it just happened, everything was like boom, boom, boom.
It was God.
Yes.
It was God.
How did you feel?
I mean, it was amazing. It was surreal, but it also was something spiritual that was happening to me at that time, because once you hit that low and then you start feeling yourself build back up, you get this confidence, you get your glow, you just are able to turn that turmoil into triumph, and then you understand that what you're doing is bigger than yourself. And that was something that happened to me during that time period. And so that's where my books came from, and that's how Blaque Pearle resurrected.
So if somebody's at home, maybe they're at a low point and they're saying, I need that thing. What was the hardest part about making that trick? How did you get out and find? I mean, you said God spoke to you.
Absolutely.
So it was a spiritual experience that really led you to writing.
Yes. So I would say that in life, we all have different seasons, right? Where we do have these lows and we have these highs. But the number one thing I would say is one, you have to have a belief in something that's bigger than yourself, whatever that is. And then also you have to know that we are put on earth for a purpose, and that purpose is bigger than us. And so once you have that inside and you know that, even when you hit that low point, you know that this isn't it. This is just a temporary season. This is something that's only going to last for just a short time, but there is going to be a rainbow. There is sunshine at the end of that. And that is something I want everyone to understand and to know, that, you know, life is going to hit, but you get up and you turn those, you know, for me, a disability into a ability, and then be able to come and serve and to speak others and help others, you know, pursue their dreams as well.
Tarris, you're such an inspiration. Really quickly, before we run out of time, tell us about the book, Blaque Pearle. What is it about? And where can people get it?
Okay, so right now, Blaque Pearle, today is my launch day.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much.
Yeah,
so,
you're doing it here. That's
yes. So Blaque Pearle is available everywhere where you can buy books. For my audio listeners and for my people that are visually impaired like myself, you can get your book anywhere where you can stream and you can listen to it audibly. And like I said, it launches today. And the book is about a woman who's an aspiring actress who life hits, and she decides to turn her acting skills into a way to rob men of their valuables. And she's hired by the cartel. Yes, she's hired by the cartel to steal an art piece from an art collector and kingpin. So it's going to take you on this journey of crime, romance, and lots of fun.
A thriller.
Yes,
I
it
can't
sounds
wait.
like it. The cover's fantastic. The artwork's
thank you.
great, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being
Thank
here.
you so much.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate
An
it.
inspiration for sure. All right, Tarris Marie, author of Blaque Pearle. Get the book out. The book's out today. You can also download it and listen to it as well. All right, stay with us. KPRC 2 News Today at 10 continues after this break.